Hi guys, so we're going to go over our shoulder overhead, and that's a couple of different variations. So we have a shoulder press, we have a push press, and we have our push jerk. We're going to start out with that shoulder press. So Jorge is going to clean that barbell up. So we're in that front rack position to start. But we're not going to be in that traditional front rack position where we're trying to look for those elbows to be high. Those elbows are going to be slightly down to allow an easy transition overhead to get that barbell overhead with the arms. So to start out, we start with that shoulder press. So that shoulder press, we need to stay tight, legs locked out, torso tight, and we're just activating those arms and shoulders to get that bar overhead. We want to make sure that we're keeping those eyes forward. What we need to do is also keep that bar over the body. So instead of pressing out and around the head, we're going to actually push the head back to allow that range of motion to be created in that space as well. So again, that's going to help keep that barbell center over the body. Biggest thing here, as that barbell starts to get heavy or we start to fatigue out, we got to make sure we're keeping those legs locked out. Next, we're going to go over the push press. So now we are allowed to use those legs. So we're going to think about a dip here. That dip is going to be anywhere about 3 inches, or you can think a quarter of your squat, but that butt is going to be slightly pushed back and the knees will track out a little bit. That's going to help get the legs a lot more engaged. So that push press, we're driving through the floor with those legs to allow some momentum before we activate those shoulders. So how high can we get that barbell with the legs first, and then we'll start to add some leverage with the arms to finish that press. Same rules apply with the head. We want to make sure we're still looking forward, and we want to make sure we're keeping that bar over the body, so we're going to just push that chin back to allow that space to be created. Next, we're going to go over that final variation. That's going to be our push jerk. So remember that dip that we did earlier. We're going to add that dip again for a second time. So that dip is going to be created. We're going to drive up aggressively and then return back to that dip. So we want to make sure we're getting that full extension with the leg first to allow that barbell to travel up, and then we're going to re-dip. So we don't want to think about pressing that barbell, we want to think about catching that barbell. So that's where we're going to create that second dip for an easy transition and an easy overhead transition. All right, and that's going to be your shoulder overhead variations.